Hi folks, John Cordisco here. Going to give you a little preview on the upcoming U.S. Championship 2016 and U.S. Women's Championship played in the beautiful chess club in St. Louis. We'll go through the U.S. Championship first. We go by rating, highest rated, Fabiano Caruana, who played extremely well in the candidates final. Frankly, I think he got ripped off with a tiebreak that they had, but that's the way it goes. Little background on Fabiano. Lives in St. Louis, 23 years old. I'll scroll through a little bit here of his. You can stop the video and read some of this, where he was born, some of the background on Fabiano. So there's Fabiano Caruana. Number 2, my buddy from the United States, Carl Nakamura. A little disappointed in how he played in the candidates final, but you know, it happens. He'll be back. Carl's a great player. He's an exciting player. He'll take chances. He'll do things. I think he's really good for TV as far as chess goes. A little background on Carl, his age, where he lives. You can stop the video here and read some of this. A little background on Carl Nakamura. Wesley So, originally from the Philippines, now plays for the United States. 22 years old. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm going to be 60 this year. I feel really, really old. Anyway, here's the background on Wesley So. Very, very top player. Go scroll a little bit here. Where he's from, how he, some of the accomplishments he's had. And so there's some background on Wesley So. Gata Kamsky. Gotta love Gata. You know, he's got a couple of degrees. I believe he's got a law degree and another medical degree. He quit chess for a while. He was playing right up, one step away from playing the World Championship. I just like Gata. He's an interesting character. I noticed when he played at Gibraltar Chess this year, he let his hair grow real long. I mean, you know, he's his own man. That's the way it is. He's originally from Russia. Migrated to the United States from the Soviet Union. I believe he was 13, 14 years old. So here's some background on Gata. When he moved, some of the degrees he might have. So there's Gata Kamsky. Ray Robson. That's somebody you don't hear about much. He's not a professional player per se. He's a great player though. Loves time trouble. He's like Alexander Grishuk. Unless he's in time trouble, it certainly isn't Ray. And it's funny, when the game's that he doesn't take as long in the opening and maybe the middle game, and he doesn't get in time pressure, he seems to do better. So maybe Ray will fix his time trouble addiction. But this is some of the background on Ray. Lives in St. Louis, born in Guam. For those of you outside the United States, Guam is a U.S. possession, so Ray is a naturalized, he is a natural U.S. citizen. Lived in Florida for a while. There's some of the background on Ray Robson. Alex Onishuk lives in Lubbock, Texas. Gotta love a Eastern European that lives in Texas. Anyway, he's a great player. Plays great on the Olympic team. Been around a long time. Here's some background on Alexander, where he teaches, where he works. Just a great player. I think he's very underrated. When Onishuk is on, he's on. But when he's off, he's off. He's kind of a hot and cold player. We'll see how he does, but great player, Alex Onishuk. Sammy Shanklin. I like Sammy a lot. I really do. He's, boy, I'll tell you, he was a little bit more outspoken when he was younger. Remember when he was at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania for the World Open, he announced he was going to quit chess at 18, and he had an invitation to the U.S. Championship. He did pretty well there, and he stayed in there, and I'm glad that he did. Lives in California, I believe in the San Francisco area. I like Sammy a lot. Met him a couple of times, talked to him very briefly. He's just a really interesting character. He's very outspoken. He's very much like a Carl. He wears his emotion on his sleeve just like a Carl does. But there's some of the background on Sammy Shanklin. Great. Oh, I wanted to mention, it's in the here. He won an undefeated run in the 2014 Chess Olympiad in Tromsø, Norway. But I'll tell you what, he really played well for the U.S. team. So kudos to him for that. That's Sam Shanklin. Jeffrey Zung, I don't know of him. I've seen him play in a few games. He's very young, of course. He's 15. He lives in Texas. You can see some of the accomplishments for Jeffrey. Under 10 in the World Youth Championship silver medal. You can stop the video, and he's homeschooled, and he's just a great player. So there's some of the background on Jeffrey. Alexander Lenderman. I believe he's Russian. I'm not sure, or his family is. Lives in Brooklyn, age 26. Alex is a really interesting character. I've talked to him a couple of times. I talked to him a little bit at the U.S. Open a few years ago in Madison, Wisconsin. It's funny, I said to him, I enjoyed your chess videos on the Smith-Morra Gambit. And he goes, whoa, no, that opening's been busted by now. And he's just an interesting character. He's a great player. Another great player. Give you some background on Alex. There's a little bit about Alex Lenderman. He's Marshall Chess Club champion 2013, but there's some bio on Alex Lenderman. Var Kobian. I don't know much about Var. He's a great player. I've seen him around. When he's on, he's another guy. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. But Var seems to have a problem sometimes when really the heat is on, the pressure is on. He has trouble handling pressure. We'll see how he does. Lives in North Hollywood, California. Originally from Armenia, I believe. Here's some background on Var. Immigrated to the United States in 2001. So there is Var Kobian. Here is Alex Shabalov. Lives in Pittsburgh, not too far from where I live. I live in upstate New York. He's a really interesting player. Alex is one of those guys that will just sacrifice piece after piece after piece. He'll make all kinds of wild moves. Carl does that sometimes too. It's just an exciting player to watch. He just goes all out, and that's his style. And like it says in the article right here, known for his fighting chess. And get some background on Alex. It'll be fun watching him play. And there's Alex. Now this player I'm not familiar with. He's very young, 16 years old. I'm sure I'm going to butcher his name. Oxcat Chandra, I believe it's pronounced. There's some background on Akshat, I believe it is. International Master. He's an IM. Rated over 2,500, so he's probably just looking for his GM norms, which I'm sure he'll get in this championship. If he's not got it already, he's just not official yet. Give you some background on the young man. Great player. I mean, 16 years old. The future looks really bright for U.S. chess. So there's the last entry in the U.S. Championship. Here are the players in the U.S. Women's Championship 2016. Anna Zakonski. She hasn't played in a year or two. I believe she's originally from Germany. Lives in Hartsdale, New York, as you can see. Some background on Anna. I didn't realize she was only an IM. I thought she was a GM, but even still, she's a great player. There's some background on Anna. I believe multi-U.S. Women's Champion. Between her and Irina Krush for the last basically 7-8 years. It's between the two of them, and it's been some real barn burners, so I'll tell you. Give you some background on Anna. Interesting. Outside of chess, she likes bicycling, ping pong, and scuba diving. That's pretty cool. So there's some bio on Anna. Irina Krush, current women's U.S. champion from Brooklyn, New York. I met Irina a couple of times. Got an autograph from her once in Philadelphia. And she's a great player. Great player. Pretty cool. Pretty cool lady as well. 32. She's a regular GM. Here's some background on Irina. She's been top in women's U.S. chess for many, many years. She was originally born in Odessa, USSR, which is now Ukraine, as you can see in her bio. So there's some background on Irina Krush, current U.S. women's champion. Tatev Abrahamyan. Never could say that real quick. Tatev Abrahamyan. I really like Tatev a lot. I'll tell you, she's a real fighter. I remember a couple of women's U.S. championships. One in particular, I believe, was year before last. Playing down the tie breaks right to the end. I mean, she came within a hair's breadth twice. The women's U.S. championship, and I'm sure she's eager again to try to get back up there to the top again. And I think she's got a good shot. There's some background on Tatev. She's quite an interesting character. I like her a lot. She's really I've seen her in some interviews. She currently lives in Los Angeles. So there's some bio on Tatev Abrahamian. Katerina Nimkova, living in St. Louis, Missouri. I believe she goes to university there. It's also by the chess club, which is kind of cool. I've seen a couple of her games in prior U.S. women's championships where she was pummeling her opponent. I forget who it was. And so she's capable of some really, really good play. We'll see how she does in this. There's some background on Katerina. Stop the video. You can read that if you want. Czech Republic team for years. Now lives in St. Louis. So there's the background on her. Now I can never pronounce her last name right, but let me give it a shot. It's not pronounced Nazi. It's Nazi. Pedegzi, something like that. I can never get it right. I was corrected on a previous video, one of my YouTube videos, that I didn't pronounce it right. But there she is. She can be really, I'll tell you, she can really put the pressure on you. She tied for second last year with a score of 7.5 out of 5. Give you some background on her. She transferred to the U.S. Federation back in 2014, and she's the 5th highest rated woman in the United States. Give some background on Nazi. Sabina Foiser lives in Lubbock, Texas. Age 26, women's grandmaster. Not a person that hasn't played before. She's been in many, many U.S. women's championships. She knows the pressure. Give you some background about Sabina. Comes from a family of chess players. You can see there she's got a scholarship, University of Maryland in Baltimore County. I'll give you some background on her. She can be a dangerous player too. Carissa Yip. Now I'm not familiar with her at all. I've heard her name before. Lives in Andover, Maryland. She's very young. She's 12 years old. Good future for U.S. women's chess when you get the young people playing the U.S. Championship. Give you some background on Carissa. Alyssa Malakina. Lives in New York, age 24. She just recently got her law degree and works for a big law firm in New York City. I met her a couple of times, got her autograph at the World Open in 2010. Give you some background on Alyssa. Lately, she hasn't done so well in the U.S. Women's Championships, but I mean, she was going to school, all the other stuff. She started an online business. Maybe her life's calmed down a little, probably not, working for the law firm, but chess is tough. You've got to study. We'll see how she does. If she spent some time in the last couple of months on her chess, I think she'll be right in there in the top 3, maybe 4. So there's Alyssa Malakina. Jennifer Yu, another very young player, 14 years old. Ashburn, Virginia, where she lives. I'm not really familiar with her. She's a women's FIDE master, rated almost 2,300. So she'll be at IM very soon. Give you some background on Jennifer. Interesting, though, it says that she was born in Ithaca, New York, which is right by where I live. I live in upstate New York in Binghamton. Ithaca is just west and north here a little bit. It's up by the Finger Lakes in upstate New York. So I'm very familiar with Ithaca. I've been there many times. It's a big college town in a very nice area. So I didn't know, and I see she was born there. So that's right by where I live in Ithaca. There's some background on her. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name. I'm not familiar with the young lady at all. Ascati Gorty, age 13. Lives in Virginia as well. I'm not really familiar with her. She's very young, 13. Give you a little bit of background on her. Interesting, though, she had a rating of 400 in 2009, so that's quite an accomplishment. She's almost 2,300 now. So there's some background on the young lady. This young lady I'm not familiar with at all is in California. I'll give it a shot. Agata by Kovsev. I'm sure I butchered that. I have no doubt. Age 16. Oh my God, all these young people. I feel so old. Give her an idea of some of her background, some of the tournaments she's played in, and some of her accomplishments. This young lady I remember from last year's U.S. Women's Championship. Another one is awful young. I can never pronounce her name correctly, but we'll give it a shot. Ritha Warren, 22-35, not bad. San Jose, California. She's 15. Give her some background on the young lady here. Got a lot of Virginia and California people. So that's the lineup in the U.S. Women's Championship 2016. Now for my predictions, who I think the placement will be for first, second, and third in the U.S. Women's Championship 2016. Nothing against Anna. I like her a lot personally. She seems like a really nice person. But I think she's going to come in third. I don't think she's played in a while. I mean, she has children, a husband, a real life. I don't think she's studied as much. She still has basic great chess instincts. So I think she'll be a very close third. But I think she'll tie second and third, and I believe there'll be a playoff, and Anna will end up third. So that's my prediction for third place in the U.S. Women's Championship. Second place, I believe, in the U.S. Women's Championship 2016, Tatev Abrahamian. I believe she'll tie with Azakonsky. And I believe she'll come within a hair's breadth of winning again. It's a heartbreaker for Tatev. That's just my prediction. I think she'll be very, very close. I think she's very close to getting her regular GM title. I think she's going to play well enough. I think she'll just make her GM title now. But it's going to be a heartbreaker for her again. Kind of like the bridesmaid 3 times instead of the bride. But she'll play really well. And she'll be tough to beat. But I think she'll just fall short. So I predict Tatev will get second place. In first place in the U.S. Women's Championship 2016, I believe will be Irina Kreshkian. She's going to have a hell of a fight, though. It's not going to be even close to being easy. I think a lot of these younger ladies that are in here are going to give the top 3 ladies a run for their money. I think each of the top 3 is going to lose a game to a lower rated player. It's going to be touch and go right to the very last round. I believe Irina will just pull it out. I believe she'll be able to hold on to her title. So that's my prediction for the U.S. Women's Championship. Now for my predictions on the U.S. Open Championship. I should say the U.S. Championship. It's not the men's championship. Everybody thinks that it's not. It's an open invitation. It isn't just men. I'm going to go out on the limb here. And even though he basically tied in the candidates final to go to the World Championship and played some incredibly good chess, I think Fabiano Caruana is just going to fall short. He's end up in third place. It's my prediction. It might even come out that him and Wesley So might even tie for second and third. Maybe there's a playoff. But I believe he's a little burned out from his candidates final, and I believe he'll just fall short, end up in third place. Nothing against Fabi. I really like him a lot. He's a great player. He's a nice guy, too. That's just what my gut tells me. So third place for Fabiano Caruana. In second place, Wesley So. I say that because I think Wesley is pretty well rested. Hasn't played a lot. He's probably going to enjoy the St. Louis weather. He lives in Minnesota. And I live in upstate New York, so we get pretty brutal winters. In fact, right now it's the beginning of April, and it's like 30 degrees at night outside. So I'm sure he will be traveling to St. Louis, enjoying the warmer weather. He'll be well rested. And I think he's just going to squeak out second place. It's going to be between him and Fabiano, but I think he'll just squeeze it out. So second place, I believe, will go to Wesley So. My pick for the winner of the U.S. Championship, Carl Nakamura. Now, I got to be honest and say I picked a Carl or a Fabiano to win the candidates. It didn't happen. Carl didn't have a very good tournament. But I think one thing that Carl has that some of the field doesn't have, he has this drive. And he wears his emotions on his sleeve. Carlson does that sometimes too. There's several players we can tell exactly what they're thinking and what emotions they have, and Carl is one of them. But I believe he's going to redeem himself in this. I believe he's not going to have an easy time. It's going to be fairly close, but I believe in the end he'll pull it through. Because I believe his pride won't let him not win. He's going to do the best he can. Look for a Carl to take a lot of chances in games he has to win. I really do. My gut tells me that a Carl can pull this off. So those are my predictions for the top 3 finishes in the U.S. Championship and the U.S. Women's Championship 2016.